Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. Let's jump right into another controversial question. A controversial topic. It's highly opinionated for many reasons. Is $100 silver possible? This video is going to talk about why I'm predicting $100 silver. Not only that, I will share the time frame and also the situations, what the environment has to be like for this to happen. Because yes, the stars will have to align, the perfect storm will have to form for this to happen. It's not just going to happen out of luck. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to have to take time. So before we jump into that, I gotta give a disclaimer. I'm not a silver pumper. If anyone is telling you that silver is about to explode and you're going to get rich right now or tomorrow, that's misleading and it's false. Silver is a very slow moving market and it won't explode, quote unquote, for a while. The price will keep appreciating, but it's not going to be anything like some people exaggerate it to be. And I don't want to mislead you. I don't want to misguide you. I don't want to put a false perspective, into your head. So yes, silver prices are accelerating extremely fast, but precious metals is a slower investment. If you're trying to get rich quick, a quick bang for your buck, you're in the wrong type of investment. This is more of a hedge against inflation, putting your money into something that holds its value as the dollar depreciates in value. So anyways, you can still make a lot of money. Silver is still going to explode. $100 silver is still possible. It's just not going to happen in the time frame that some say it will. I hope that gave some context to this video. So, what would have to happen for $100 silver? Well, I'm going to talk about why I think it's going to happen and what's going to be leading to that. Now, just like in the 2008 credit crisis, something happened to spark the fuse, which was the credit crisis. Then 3 years later, silver hit $50. Same thing is happening now. Back then, there was billion-dollar stimulus packages. Nowadays, we have trillion-dollar stimulus packages. So things are much more extreme, so you would expect the prices to be more extreme too. So a more extreme price than $50 has to be $70, $80. And if we get that high, that would be silver's all-time high, especially with the demand rising, the supply shortening. The only direction it can go is up from there, which would be $100. And that's still putting the gold to silver ratio at 55-60 to 1, which is still pretty high, which means silver has more room to run even if we look at it from that angle, from that perspective. So it's definitely not impossible. It's definitely possible, and not a lot of people would be surprised except for the people doubting silver, trying to downplay it or are afraid of it, because it's a ticking time bomb and it's blatantly obvious. The warning signs, the signals are obvious at this point. If you are trying to doubt silver, there must be some type of resentment, some type of grudge you're holding for other reasons. Maybe you got burnt earlier. Maybe this is a competition, or maybe you're very bullish on Bitcoin and want Bitcoin to be the one that pulls out at the end, or whatever the case is. There's some type of biased opinion going on. If you can look at the markets right now and say that silver isn't a good investment, right? It's just blatantly obvious. So anyways, since we brought up the 2008 credit crisis, which led to $50 silver 3 years later, and look at the time frame. 3 years was that one. So right now, 2020 would be the start of this one, right? Because silver was $11 earlier this year in March. So it's not like any type of run was happening from 2019 or earlier. It's 2020 would be the year that it started, this bull run started. So if we look 3 years in the future from now, because that's the time frame the last run to $50 was, that means it's 2023. Let's look at what that time frame realistically looks like. Well, we have the presidential election coming up, so that right there is also and already a more explosive start than back in 2008. Plus, not only that, plus, we have a global pandemic on our hands. Back then, they didn't. So, not only do we have $1 trillion stimulus packages, not only do we have a global pandemic, but we also have a presidential election, one of the most controversial elections ever. Anytime there's a lot of chaos and controversy in the economy, people run towards precious metals. It's a safe haven monetary metal. When people don't trust banks, people don't trust governments, they go towards gold and silver. So there's a lot of reasons that we've talked about, but there's even more. I mean, when we're looking at the possibilities, investing is like, it's kind of like playing chess. It's kind of like, what's a good metaphor? It's like it's like trying to tell the future, but from a more literal sense. If I'm going to buy something, I'm looking at not the price right now, not the value of it right now, but what the future value of it will be. Right now, the price of silver is irrelevant because I know the future value is going to be a lot higher. And I know the value of silver right now is $15 or $25, but that doesn't mean that's what the actual value of it is worth. 1 ounce of silver is worth a lot more than $26. I can tell you that much. So buying it right now is key. Silver's true value is honestly unknown. Buying it right now is fundamentally important. It's fundamentally key. It's extremely important to take advantage of these prices because this is one of the last times we will see prices this low ever. Imagine fast forwarding 5 years in the future, looking back on today's times and saying, man, I wish I could still buy an ounce of silver for $26. Man, I wish I could go back in time and bought a lot more. You don't want to be one of those people doing that. You don't want to look back on today's times and regretting that you did not take advantage of these low prices because trust me, once they go up, they're staying up. There might be small corrections, but once it gets to that $50 range this time and it holds up there, sayonara to $20, $30 silver. That's long gone, right? That's long gone. And that's a scary thing for a lot of people that aren't taking full advantage of these prices right now. I've read so many articles from Seeking Alpha, from Gold Silver, from SD Bullion, from everywhere, Kitco News, all talking about silver, where it's headed during the end of the year, and also why you need to take advantage of it right now. I've shown the analytical charts showing, what's coming up for the end of the year, why it's obvious that right now is the perfect time to invest. You don't want to miss that time frame window. And a lot of people are still on the sidelines debating. They're still skeptical, but what if? No. Try to tell me that $26 silver is too high right now. Try to argue that with me. Try to say, no, Silver Slayer, $26 silver is too high. If I bought it right now, the price is probably going to go back down to $15, $20 and I'll lose my money. Try to tell me that with a straight face. You can't. So right there, it should already make sense that even if you buy it right now, you're at least going to invest into something somewhat good, but trust me, it's going to be a lot better than what you even imagine. So $100 silver isn't crazy. And we always talk about who's going to pay $100 for an ounce of silver. Trust me, you will. The one that's questioning it, you will. And you better hope the big business will as well. And they will. See, just like Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was $20,000, everyone was buying it. When Bitcoin was $1,800, nobody in their right mind would have ever thought that Bitcoin would go to $20,000. And even further than that, a further stretch than that, nobody would have believed that people would pay $20,000 more than they would be willing to pay $1,800. See, when I invested into Bitcoin at $1,800, I was telling everyone to buy it. And this isn't trying to say I told you so. I'm trying to make a point here. It's called herd mentality. Once the price keeps going up, there's more proof that it's profitable, which in return brings more people into the market. But as it's rising, proving to people it's profitable, they're paying higher prices. So most people didn't take Bitcoin seriously till it was around $10,000. Right, until it was around $10,000. And at that point, it was rising thousands of dollars per day. So when I bought it $1,800, when everyone thought it was a terrible investment, that's when everyone should have been buying it. You should be selling it around $15,000-$20,000 while everyone else was buying it. Everyone found Bitcoin around $15,000-$20,000 and they thought they were going to get rich. Well, guess what? The people that bought it at $1,800 are selling it to the people buying it at $15,000-$20,000, and those are the ones getting rich. The ones that got in before the curve. That's what we are doing right now with gold and silver. We bought silver $15, $11 in March, whatever. We're getting in early, before the curve, before the average person hears about it, and trust me, it's going to happen. And when they do, they're going to be the ones paying $50, $60 for an ounce of silver. We're going to be the ones selling that silver to them, right? We buy it for $15. We're going to be selling it gladly to the consumers for $75, $80 an ounce. And trust me, if we have hundreds, if not thousands of ounces, do the math, that's a fortune. And that's selling ourselves short. Silver could be worth a lot more than that. Anytime we've looked at silver prices, we've looked at that price, that spot price, in a specific time period. But what happens when the dollar loses even more value? What happens when we hit more debt? What happens when stimulus packages get bigger? What happens when more countries opt out of the USD as the reserve currency? What happens if there's a problem or more controversy with the presidential election? What happens if the rapidly rising silver demand cannot meet the silver supply and there's a huge, massive shortage? What happens to all this? What happens when 5G technology takes off? What happens when there's so many reasons why silver is going to explode, and there's so many reasons why it could go a lot higher than it is today, and a lot higher than even $100. I rest my case. I mean, try to argue this concept. Try to argue this topic with me. What could you say? There's nothing. You have to accept this. This is not a theory. These are facts, right? These are facts. I've compared it to 2008 to 2011, from, very cheap silver, $9 silver, all the way up to $50 silver. Now let's go back to 1980 when silver was $50, right? Both times, both patterns. See, I have this formula. And by the way, if you guys can notice, I'm trying to fix the quality, the audio of my videos. I have a really nice mic, but I never really cared to set it up properly with the audio. So I spent a couple hours last night and this morning doing that. And by the way, I got a new car. I got a 2018 Hyundai Elantra. Very nice car. It drives so smooth. Some of the perks of not blowing your money, right? That's one of the great things about investing and just being financially aware, right? Not learning how to separate our wants versus needs, right? Is we get to buy nice things. It doesn't mean we have to, but we can just afford it. Where most people live paycheck to paycheck and will never see, $1,000 in their entire life, right? At once. So it's just a terrible thing. But anyways, going back to the video, what was I talking about? So generally speaking, let's say, okay, I remember what I was talking about now. I was talking about the 1980 to 2011 similarities within the historical chart patterns and what was happening in the economy. But now I have something else I want to talk about. So I'll talk about that first. So both patterns was recession/depression, right? Very iffy, untrust banks, governments, and then it leads to the price. But it rose too fast in that minute. That minute crashed fast, right? If we want silver to hit $50 again for the third time, but actually stay that high, there has to be a more gradual approach, meaning it has to take longer than 3 years. And if it doesn't take longer than 3 years, it's probably going to crash just as fast, unless there is a slower appreciating price target. There has to be some stability. There has to be some stable prices where there's the support and resistance levels are being targeted, are being checked upon. And that's going to give a foundation at the price. Imagine silver sitting around $30, for a while, and then it gets to $40 for a couple months, and then it hits $50 for a couple months. If it just does all that within a time frame of 2 months, going from $20 to $50, it's going to crash extremely fast, just like Bitcoin did, right? It has to be more slow. Prices have to stabilize, they have to check, they have to be tested, and that's where we're going to see higher prices that will actually last, that will actually stay that high. But anyways, reverting back to what I was saying later, imagine the latest iPhone, right? Or we can use this for so many different things since silver is so widely used in technology. But for this sake, we'll use cell phones because everyone has one. Say silver is $100 and Apple or whatever manufacturer doesn't want to pay $100 for an ounce of silver. What would happen to the iPhone? Silver is used in the iPhone. Cost of production would skyrocket and your iPhone would be a lot more expensive. What about electric vehicles? Everything would. You better hope they pay $100 for that ounce of silver, and trust me, they will. Why? Because the only other alternative is something that's 72 times more expensive than silver. See, even at $100 silver, that's pennies to the dollar compared to $2,000 gold, right? No other metal responds like silver does. It's the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity. Nothing performs like it, nowhere near as cheap as it is as well. It's cheap, it's affordable, and it's profitable. Silver is by far the perfect investment. I don't see how anyone could try to say it's not, right? Even looking at it compared to gold, diversification is definitely key. Take advantage of that. Just like in my video yesterday where I talked more about storage, gold does have some advantages, but 99% of the time, silver can do what gold does, but just better. So anyways, I hope you understand why silver can definitely reach $100 in my opinion, why I am predicting $100 silver. I would love to hear your prediction. I would love to hear your time frame as well. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Check out the merch down below, right below this window. Also, let me know what you thought about this video. If you thought it was educational, informational, or at least just entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. I post daily videos every single day, giving you the newest, latest, freshest information in the world of precious metals. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.